Page 54. Go on, he said. Well, there are two kinds of action that seem to fit your case. First, start this afternoon to move those sales figures upward. We've got to face it. There's a reason your sales are slipping. Find it. Maybe you need a special sale to clear out your slow moving merchandise so you will be in a position to buy some fresh stock. Perhaps you can rearrange your display counters. Maybe your salespeople need more enthusiasm. I can't pinpoint what will turn your sales volume upward, but something will. And it would probably be wise to talk privately with your merchandise manager. He may be on the verge of putting you out, but when you talk it over with him and ask his advice, he'll certainly give you more time to work things out. It's too it's too expensive for the store to replace you as long as top management feel there's a chance you will find a solution. I went on. Then get your assistant buyers on the ball. Quit acting like a drowning man. Let people around you know that you are still alive. Courage was again in his eyes. Then he asked, you said there are two kinds of action I should take. What is the second? The second type of action, which you might say is an insurance policy, is to let two or three of your closest business friends in the trade know know you might consider an offer from another store, assuming, of course, it is substantially better than your present job. I don't believe your job will be insecure after you take some affirmative action to get those sales figure on the rise. But just in case, it's good to have an offer or two. Remember, it's 10 times easier for a man with a job to get another job than it is for someone unemployed to connect. 2 days ago, this once troubled executive called me. After our talk, I buckled down. I made a number of changes, but the most basic one was with my salespeople. I used to hold sales meeting once a week, but now I'm holding one every morning. I've got those people really enthusiastic. I guess once they saw some life in me, then they were able to push harder too. They were just waiting for me to start things moving again. Things sure are working out okay. Last week, my sales were well ahead of a year ago and much better than the store's average. Oh, by the way, he continued, I want to tell you some other good news. I got two job offers since we talked. Naturally, I'm glad, but I've turned them both down since everything is looking good here again. When we face tough problems, we stay mired in the mud until we take action. Hope is a start, but hope needs action to win victories. Hope needs action to win victories. Put the action principle to work. Next time you experience big fear or little fear, steady yourself. Then search for an answer to this question. What kind of action can I take to conquer my fear? Isolate your fear, then take appropriate action. Below are some examples of fear and some possible action cures. Type of fear: embarrassment because of personal appearance. Action: improve it. Go to a barber shop or beauty salon. Shine your shoes, get your clothes clean and pressed. In general, practice better grooming. It does not always take new clothes. Fear of losing an important customer. Work doubly hard to give better service. Correct anything that may have caused customers to lose confidence in you. Fear of failing an examination. Convert worry time into study time. Fear of things totally beyond your control. Turn your attention to helping to relieve the fear of others. Pray. Fear of being physically hurt by something you cannot control, such as a tornado or an airplane out of control. Switch your attention to something totally different. Go out into your yard and pull up weeds. Play with your children. Go to a movie. Fear of what others people may think and say. Make sure that what you plan to do is right, then do it. No one ever does anything worthwhile for which he is not criticized. Fear of making an investment or purchasing a home. Analyze all factors, then be decisive, make the decision and stick with it. Trust your own judgment. Fear of people. Put them in a proper perspective. Remember, the other person is just another human being, pretty much like yourself. Use this two-step procedure to cure fear with and win confidence. Number one, isolate your fear. Pin it down. Determine exactly what you are afraid of. Number two, then take action. There is some kind of action for any kind of fear. And remember, hesitation only enlarges, magnifies the fear. Take action promptly, be decisive. Much lack of self confidence can be traced directly to a mismanaged memory. Your brain is very much like a bank. Every day you make thoughts deposits in your mind bank. These thought deposits grow and become your memory. When you settle down to think or when you face a problem, in effect you say to your memory bank, what do I already know about this? Your memory bank automatically answers and supplies you with bits of information relating to this situation that you deposited on previous occasions. Your memory then is the basic supplier of raw material for your new thought. The teller in your memory bank is tremendously reliable. He never crosses you up. If you approach him and say, Mr. Teller, let me withdraw some thoughts I deposited in the past, proving I am inferior to just about everybody else, he will say, certainly, sir. Recall how you failed two times previously when you tried this. Recall what your sixth grade teacher told you about your inability to accomplish things. Recall what you overheard some fellow workers saying about you. Recall. And on Mr. Taylor goes, digging out of your brain thought after thought that proves you are inadequate. But suppose you visit a memory teller with a request, Mr. Taylor, I face a difficult decision. Can you supply me with any thoughts that will give me reassurance? And again, Mr. Taylor says, certainly, sir, but this time he delivers thoughts you deposited earlier that say you can succeed. Recall the excellent job you did in a similar situation before. Recall how much confidence Mr. Smith placed in you. Recall what your good friend said about you. Recall. Mr. Teller, perfectly responsive, lets you withdraw the thought deposits you want to withdraw. After all, it is your bank. Here are two specific things to do to build confidence through efficient management of a memory bank. Number one, Number one, deposit only positive thoughts in your memory bank. Let's face it squarely. Everyone encounters plenty of unpleasant, embarrassing, and discouraging situations. But unsuccessful and successful people deal with these situations in directly opposite ways. Unsuccessful people take them to heart, so to speak. They dwell on the unpleasant situations, thereby giving them a good start in their memory. They don't take their minds away from them. At night, the unpleasant situation is the last thing they think about. Confident, successful people, on the other hand, Confident, successful people, on the other hand, don't give it another thought. Successful people specialize in putting positive thoughts into their memory bank. What kind of performance would your car deliver if every morning before you left for work you scooped up a double handful of dirt and put it in your crankcase? That fine engine would soon be a mess, unable to do what you want it to do. Negative, unpleasant thoughts deposited in your mind affect your mind the same way. Negative thoughts produce needless wear and tear of your mental motor. They create worry, frustration, and feeling of inferiority. They put you beside the road while others drive ahead. Do this. In these moments, when you are alone with your thoughts, when you're driving your car or eating alone, recall pleasant, positive experiences. Put good thoughts in your memory bank. This boosts confidence. It gives you that I sure feel good feeling. It helps keep your body functioning right too. Here is an excellent plan. Just before you go to sleep, deposit good thoughts in memory bank. Can count your blessings, recall the many good things that you have to be thankful for. Your wife or husband, your children, your friends, your health. Recall the good things you saw people to do today. Recall your little victories and accomplishments. Go over the reasons why you are glad to be alive. Recall the reasons why you are glad to be alive. Withdraw only positive thoughts from your memory bank. I was closely associated several years ago in Chicago with a firm of psychological consultants. They handled many types of cases, but mostly marriage problems and psychological adjustment situations, all dealing with mind matters. One afternoon, as I was talking with the head of the firm about his profession and his techniques for helping the seriously maladjusted person, he made this remark. You know, there would be no need of my services if people would do just one thing. What's that? I asked eagerly. Simply this: destroy their negative thoughts before those thoughts become mental monsters. Most individuals I try to help, he continued, are operating their own private museum of mental horror. Many marriage difficulties, for example, involve the honeymoon monster. The honeymoon wasn't as satisfactory as one or both of the marriage partners had hoped, but instead of burying the memory, they reflected on it hundreds of times until it was a giant obstacle to successful marital relationships. They come to me as much as 5 or 10 years later. Usually, of course, my clients don't see where their trouble lies. It's my job to uncover and explain the source of their difficulty to them and them to see what a triviality it really is. A person can make a mental monster out of almost any unpleasant happening. My psychologist friend went on. A job failure, a jilted romance, a bad investment, disappointment in the behavior of a teenage children. These are common monsters I have to help troubled people destroy. It is clear that any negative thought, if fertilized with repeated recall, can develop into a real mind monster, breaking down confidence and paving the way to serious psychological difficulties. If in an article in Cosmopolitan magazine some years ago, the drive towards self destruction, Alice Mulcahy pointed out that upward of 30,000 Americans commit suicide each year and another 100,000 attempt to take their own lives. She went on to say, there is shocking evidence that millions of people are killing themselves by slower, less obvious methods. Still, others are committing spiritual rather than physical suicide, constantly seeking out ways to humiliate, punish, and generally diminish themselves. The psychologist friend mentioned before told me how he helped one of the patients to stop committing mental and spiritual suicide. This patient, he explained, was in her late 30s and had two children. In lay terminology, she suffered from severe depression. She looked back on every incident of her life as being an unhappy experience: her school days, her marriage, her bearing of her children, the places she had lived, all were thought of negatively. She volunteered that she could not remember ever having been truly happy. And since what one number remembers from the past colors, what one sees in the present, she saw nothing but pessimism and darkness. When I asked her what she saw in a picture which I showed her, she said, "It looks like there will be a terrible thunderstorm tonight." That was the gloomiest interpretation of the picture I have yet heard. The picture was a large oil painting of the sun low in the sky and jagged rocky coastline. The painting was very cleverly done and could be construed to be either sunrise or sunset. The psychologist commented to me that what a person sees in the picture is a clue to his personality. Most people say it's a sunrise, but the depressed people nearly always say it's a sunset. As a psychologist, I can't change what already is in a person's memory, but I can, with the patient's cooperation, help the individual to see his past in a different light. That's the general treatment I used on this woman. I worked with her to help her to see joy and pleasure in her past instead of total disappointment. After 6 months, she began to show improvement. At that point, I gave her a special assignment. Each day, I asked her to think of and write down three specific reasons she was to be happy. Then, at her next appointment with me on Thursday, I would go over her list with her. I continued this sort of treatment for 3 months. Her improvement was very satisfactory. Today, that woman is very well adjusted to her situation. She is positive and certainly as happy as most people. When this woman quit drawing negatives from her memory bank, she was headed toward recovery. Whether the psychological problem is a big or little, the cure comes when one learns to quit drawing negatives from one's memory bank and withdraws positives instead. Don't build mental monsters. Refuse to withdraw the unpleasant thoughts from your memory bank. When you remember any situation of any kind, concentrate on the good part of the experience. Forget the bad. Bury it. If you find yourself thinking about the negative side, turn your mind off completely. And here is something very significant and very encouraging. Your mind wants you to forget the unpleasant. If you will just cooperate unpleasant, if you will just cooperate, unpleasant memories will gradually shrivel and the teller in your memory bank will cancel them out. Dr. Melvin S. Hatwick, noted advertising psychologist, in commenting on our ability to remember, says when the feeling aroused is when the feeling aroused is pleasant, the advertisement has a better chance to be remembered. When the feeling aroused is unpleasant, the reader or listener tends to forget an advertising message. The unpleasant runs counter to what we want. We don't want to remember it. In brief, it really is easy to forget the unpleasant if we simply refuse to recall it. Withdraw only positive thoughts from your memory bank. Let the others fade away. And your confidence, that feeling of being on top of the world, will zoom upward. You take a big step forward toward conquering fear when you refuse to remember negative self depreciating thoughts. Why do people fear other people? Why do many folks feel self conscious around others? What's behind shyness? What can we do about it? Fear of other people is a big fear, but there is a way to conquer it. You can conquer fear of people if you learn to put them into proper perspective. A business friend who is doing exceptionally well operating his own wood novelty plant explained to me how he got the proper perspective of people. His example is interesting. Before I went into the army in World War II, I was scared of just about everybody. You just would not believe how shy and timid I was. I felt everyone else was a lot smarter. I worried about my physical and mental inadequacies. I thought I was born to fail. Then, by some fortunate quirk of fate, I lost my fear of people in the army. During part of 1942 and 1943, when the army was inducting men at a terrific clip, I was stationed as a medic at one of the big induction centers. Day after day, I assisted in examining those men. The more I looked at these recruits, the less afraid of people I became. All those men lined up by the hundreds, naked as jaybirds, looked so much alike. Oh, sure, there were fat ones and skinny ones, tall ones and short ones, but they were all were confused, all were lonesome. Just a few days before, some of these were rising young executives. Some were farmers, some were salesmen, drifters, blue collar workers. A few days before, they had been many things, but at the induction center, they were all alike. I figured out something pretty basic back then. I discovered people are alike in many more ways than they are different. I discovered the other fellow is pretty much like me. He likes good food, he misses his family and friends. He wants to get ahead. He has problems, he likes to relax. So if the other fellow is basically like me, there is no point in being afraid of him. Now, doesn't that make sense? If the other fellow is basically like me, there is no reason to be afraid of him. Here are two ways to put people in proper perspective. Number one, get a balanced view of the other fellow. Keep these 2 points in mind when dealing with people. First, the other fellow is important. Empathetically, he is important. Emphatically, he's important. Every human being is, in a forceful way, without doubt. Emphatically, he's important. Every human being is. But remember, this also, you are important too. So when you meet an other person, make it a policy to think we are just two important people sitting down to discuss something of mutual interest and benefit.